So, before we get into this, things you need to know when dealing with lacquer thinner, especially the solvent kind, not the oil-based kind. A little bit with the oil-based kind because it will irritate you to an extent, but the solvent-based lacquer thinner is way worse. This is made by Clean Strip, but this is the lacquer thinner we use. Every lacquer thinner is the same, really, in the solvent-based. Some are stronger than others, but this stuff will burn the hell out of your hands and eyes if you don't wear eyeglass protection. What you want to do also for your hands, because it will burn your hands and dry them out. I'm used to it. I've been dealing with it for years with the bodywork field I'm in. Pick yourself up some heavy-duty rubber gloves. You do not want to get this stuff in a cut on one of your hands. It will sting really bad. Also, the most important thing, because it is a solvent-based, this stuff is used in bodywork. It is meant for having a well-ventilated area. It will asphyxiate you. So keep that in mind. Use it in a well-ventilated area, like outside on a porch or something with the wind blowing, or in a shop with a ventilation fan running. So I wish I would have done that when I did it in my living room on my last carburetor rebuild. But, you know, you don't really think about those things when you're in the moment and you want to get stuff done. You kind of lose track of common sense. For the average daily driver, they're perfect because it's basically like having a fuel injection vehicle. They're pretty troublesome free carburetors. Like I said, they can be gummed up all day long and still work. I've seen these carburetors sit around for 40 years, be put, like, thrown on an engine and still function the way they should. So that's saying something. We're going to get into rebuilding this now. So we are going to get into this rebuild. Pretty much everything over here is about what you need. We got wire brushes, plastic brushes, small pair of needle nose, straight screwdriver, Phillips, and a little tiny screwdriver for the clips. And also, very important, these little tiny, I call them spray gun cleaning brushes, because my spray gun cleaning kit has the same kind of brushes in it. We have...
That's what those are. Harbor Freight. All this stuff is from Harbor Freight, super cheap.
Got a pick set here for scraping, in case it comes to that. And we got the pneumatic airline for blowing out the orifices and jets. So, let's get into it. Got some lacquer thinner. Not the oil-based kind, the true lacquer thinner, because there is two different types. Got the oil-based, which I don't like it. This is the solvent-based, which is way better. Yeah, we better pour this another way. I wish this tub was a little bit bigger. I told my brother I'd like to go to the dollar store and get like kind of a cat litter box. It's a little bit bigger for all your parts to lay there. The first thing to do, and I can't remember how I took mine off, I think. So basically, these right here, this rod, is the biggest pain in the ass to pull off. There is a thing at the bottom here with a flathead screw, if you can see it. It goes down there. It is adjusted for here, which is the throttle adjustment. But this is for the choke assembly to work. So once I get that off, I can take all these Phillips head screws out of the top hat of this and remove it. This is a big flathead screw I was talking about. And now you can see that it is free. It holds that whole assembly on the bottom inside there. That's where it lives. So now the top hat will come off with ease. Just put that in there. Hopefully all these screws come out. It makes me nervous. Some of these, if they've been worked on a lot in the past, have some pretty crappy screws in them. This one is the one I'm most nervous about because it looks like it's been screwed up in the past with stripping. So this is the best way to, if you got a bunch of crap stuck in the bottom of the screws, just use a sharp pick and dig out that rust or gum or whatever the heck is in there. Well, on one of these carburetors, it's kind of hard to screw up where the screws go, but I did notice we have a very long one laying in there compared to the rest.
And that'll be for this.
Yeah,
right here.
so
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah, if you see where this air horn is stepped up here to where you got the flatness of the top of the bowl, it steps up for the air horn. That location right there, with this being the front of the carburetor, this location here is going to be your longest screw because it's got to go all the way down into the carb. As you can see, the long Phillips in there compared to all the other ones. This is the biggest pain in the butt, is trying to spread these when they've been sealed down for years. I might try to tap on this. You don't have a hammer handy, do you?
Sure don't.
Dang. I really don't like to hit them with a hammer, but never mind. Whoops.
Oh no, now our backdrop is showing through.
Yeah. Okay. I actually forgot one. So there's a little clip on the side of here I forgot to remove. And we do not want to lose that. It's one of them little tiny C-clips. We will put that over. We'll just put that in here. There. So there's a little edge on this rod right here. And you have to have it a certain way to pull it out of this slot of that arm. So they're a little tricky to get out of there at first, but they will come out. Pull the vacuum for the choke. And there you have it. That is the top hat, typically as it comes off of the main base. This is the float, and this is the accelerator pump. And I noticed, surprisingly, that accelerator pump was still working because I could hear it spraying fuel down through the venturis, which is a good sign. So I'll leave that soak, and we're going to clean it up with some of these brushes. And as you can see, it's starting to melt off all of the stuff already, and the lacquer is turning yellow. So these are the jets right here, as you can tell. Right here, it's got a little plunger valve. That is the power valve, which makes up for the vacuum loss when you come off of a idle and give it gas. This will open up, introduce more air or less air to make up for the power loss. As you can tell, this one needs cleaned. I mean, look at all the rust in there. It is all gummed up. We got tons of crud on there. These are the Venturi assemblies. That is what sprays fuel immediately off the accelerator pump, which goes here. When you hit the throttle, fuel sprays out of these into your
Dumped it all over his phone.
down through your bores. Yeah, I just dumped a crap load of fuel into my phone. It'll be okay. It's seen worse. Surprised it hasn't caught on fire yet. Nobody really does this step of cleaning, you know, the outside of the assembly. They just clean the inside, but if I'm going to tear something apart, I'm going to clean the whole freaking thing and make it look new again. So it looks like a new part. Typically, I don't use the brass one, but it is the softest one other than the plastic for getting some of this heavy crud off of here. Okay. So this is like old, crusty cardboard because it's so old. We are getting to the nitty-gritty of it now, though. A little bit of cleanup. No, it does not. I'm glad it comes with this nice thick factory gasket, though. Mine didn't even freaking... I bought one of them freaking cheap kits from like the parts store, and it doesn't even have this thick gasket. Mine came with a real thin one.
If you want to get your carburetor kits,
this is a nice kit. It's
out.
even got brand new clips. So we got the air horn assembly all cleaned up. And as you can see, I don't know how much light, that is what ethanol fuel does to a carburetor. It tears them up. That is a lot of corrosion from just fuel sitting there for who knows how many years. Sorry for not cleaning this on screen to show you guys, but I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory, and I'm sure you don't want to see me scrubbing a air horn for the past hour. I think it took me, right? I think it's been an hour. But as you can tell, it looks brand new. That's the way I like them to look. And I should specify this. A lot of people always ask me, you know, should I just buy a brand new carburetor? Which they're available. I don't like them. This stuff is original parts. Anytime I can use something original to the vehicle, I'm going to do everything in my power to rebuild it, to keep the factory casting numbers to the engine, etc., etc. And this has got all the GM stamps on it. I've never bought an aftermarket carburetor of one of these to know if they're just taking old parts and refreshing them and putting them back together, or it's all China-made garbage. I've never bought one to know. I can't really say too much about them, but you're better off using an original GM carburetor and rebuilding it yourself. For me, there's no better feeling than cleaning something up, putting new gaskets in it, and doing like a full rebuild and having it run like a brand new vehicle after you're done. There's just no better satisfying feeling than that. Yeah, it is way cheaper. I think a rebuild kit was what? Well, you bought one of the better kits online, so.
This was $35 shipped to my door in 2 days.
It's really not bad. We got to get all this gasket material off here. So what I'm going to do now is remove the Venturis. These are the Venturi assembly. That's what delivers fuel down into your bores out of the accelerator pump chamber, I call it. It's held in by 3 screws, flatheads, and it also has a gasket assembly underneath there that needs changed. one thing to note, these screws are a lot smaller than this center one. The center one has a big head on it. So make sure you put them in the correct location when reassembling. We will show you the reassembly process, obviously.
Oh, don't be dropping that.
Almost a goner.
Oh man.
So basically, I'm keeping all the throttle bore parts on the table for right now. I don't want to mix them in with that yet, because obviously it's hard to find parts in here. The next thing I'm going to clean is this center base. So might have to go from underneath, because I do not want to screw these up.
You want to remove. You want to move all these screws off of this table?
No, we'll leave that. It's okay.
Are you sure?
Yes. So, did you just see what I just did when I pulled that? I felt that it had something else on it. So when you're knocking this out of here or prying it out of here, do not pry it to the side. You will screw up this assembly. I took a screwdriver, just the end of it, and I just gave it a slight tap evenly on both sides to remove this Venturi assembly, because this is what's on the bottom of that, and you do not want to bend these. It will screw them up. And yes, I did not screw that up, thank God. Basically, when you're cleaning these, you want to make sure you get into every orifice and spray in some of these. I mean, if you look down through here, the best thing to do is hold it up to some light. If you see light at the other end, it's pretty clear, but if you can barely see light, it's usually clogged, and I can see light through the other end of these, so I know those are good. I'm still going to clean them just to be sure. But basically, I'm going to take some of the pick stuff and stick it in these holes to make sure I get them all clean. They look fairly clean, though. I don't really see much. I think what we're going to do is turn this upside down. That's how it gets all of its fuel. If you look underneath these, because this is facing from the top side of the carburetor, underneath here is where it delivers fuel through these ports. And there's a port that runs through here out these brass tubes. So you can blow compressed air down through there. That's really the best way to clean them. And usually when I'm doing that, I feel around here and see if it's all pushing out all of the holes to make sure they are clean. So we're going to get into cleaning the outside of this, and